Let's take it back to 1920. Wilson was the president, so that should be enough evidence to prove racism in the world was heavy. The racists in DeKalb County was ready. Don't y'all know our racist 28th president wrote a history book that was used to misguide our youth? A history book. But it was far from the truth. This book celebrated and praised racism in the Ku Klux Klan. I guess that's why the racists in DeKalb County got together with their Ku Klux Klan. The KKK killed my people every day, and other white folks seem to thought that was okay. They used to roam the streets killing us day and night. They even killed the kids, Cuddy. The KKK used the AK to kill us 47 ways in the 20s. The Klans in DeKalb County had rallies that lasted 4 to 7 days. Black Jews and immigrants feared, but they couldn't get away. They was forced to be slaves, dealing with the pressure of the KKK. I'm ashamed to say, but the Klan probably still active today. That's probably who spray painted nigga on the side of the Center for Black Studies. Emotionally I yearn to lust as I quench the thirst of trust, as I inhale to escape to a different galaxy. My lonesome thoughts push me back to reality. This life is real. Young black kindergarten kings killed. That's KKK. The pressure I feel is precise. Life is speculated spectrums purposely placed in between gravity. Thinking on this society, life is breathtaking. Thinking on our history, black people lives been taken. Klan rallies all over DeKalb County in the early 20s. I'm currently in my late 20s, so that means my grandparents experienced this. The KKK truly routed the way that we live life today. Ghetto thugs, renegades, that's the way that my people was portrayed. But the truth is they was hopeless and afraid. Never volunteered to be no slave. The KKK in DeKalb County robbed my people blind. They didn't have no fearless leader. Y'all think about it. Dr. King wasn't born to 29. Pay attention and listen. This is the 20s. That's prohibition. They claimed the less alcohol they sell, the less crime in the world. Well, I guess the KKK in DeKalb County didn't get the memo that day because they still was killing my people. But back then, they didn't see my people was people. Crime rates didn't go down. Wasn't no telling what happened when a light went down or the sun went down in this pretty white town. The cops during the day, they your teacher, your preacher, your neighbors, they all probably part of the KKK. During the day, they'll smile in your face. But when the sun goes down, they put on a pretty white gown.
The Elfield edition states that the ownership and occupancy of any building or lot in this edition is forever restricted to members of the white race. No person of any other race or mixture of races other than the pure white race shall acquire a title to any lot or building in this edition. And y'all ask us why we bring it up so much. When y'all race was literally the ones that put the first codes in motion, those who could not remember the past are condemned to repeat it, and this feels repetitive. DeKalb County must come face the problems that this is persistent. Y'all sang the songs of righting the wrongs that Reconstruction was going to make us a community, but Reconstruction only constructed new ways to keep us out. Y'all created a covenant that read the lines that black homes bring down the value of neighboring residencies, signed all of us. But if you're not black, don't speak on our behalf or on us. It's no surprise that the descendants are comfortable enough trying to gentrify when the ancestors wanted to gatekeep. And as it was on earth, they wanted in heaven. The Fairview cemeteries restricted to members of the Caucasian race. They were okay with exclusion. They're okay with exclusion because the stats still say that DeKalb County is overwhelmingly white. But if I didn't read that, I could just see that in my PWI, but I guess I digress. Just like when the sun goes down. I would have hated if they called me when the sun went down because that's when they came out and they would announce my sunrise to sunset and say that the black girl should have known not to be out here when the sun set. Not that they would sing their salutation when the sun would rise. DeKalb County history was never cotton candy clouds or blue skies because the right was not right and spite is still spite. They brought 40,000 men for a rally in Rockford who were prepared to fight, but I guess, just like history says, we are only okay with migrating and mobilizing when those people are white. But thank you to Arts in Action for giving me the opportunity to shed light on this story. My name is Lo, and I represent 4 Poets, 1 Mic. Thank you.
I woke up this morning feeling disconnected from the world around me. Seeing life in color, monochromatically, they say the best way to start your day is with a cup of coffee. I like my coffee the way I adore my ancestry, black and strong. And I realize it's been way too long since I felt the breeze of the day caress my face and remind me that this is what they fought for. Not the right to be seen as lesser, or oppressed by the oppressor who always seems to come in a shade of white and label me a transgressor. So now I have to prove my innocence and validate my competence, but I have to watch my behavior so I'm not seen as belligerent, ignorant, but the pressure of it all can just be too much to take. So I decided it was time for me to take a break. Today was the first time I went outside in a week. The sight made me weep because the blue skies reminded me of the deep blue seas and those of my lineage who came before me, including those who used the oceans of transportation to heaven and glory. It must be hard choosing between media maker and media master, but they chose the path of holy. Ultimately, before they could fly, they had to sink. And that made me think something about the color black has always led to resistance. Just like the call of the lonely black bird I heard in the distance, you know, a crow's call is bad luck. Them laws were bad luck, just like black codes for black folks who did anything but give up. You know, I heard birds fly south for the winter. But Jim Crow made black folks travel north for a life much greater than 6 million brothers and sisters trying to make a way. If you asked them where they were going, they would probably say as far as it takes. Some of them even ended up in Sycamore and DeKalb County, escaping segregation and the black and white ways of living, fighting against poverty, obtaining economic security. Wouldn't you risk it all for such an opportunity? To live life lavishly as lavish as a Negro's life could be, which basically means living within your means without the means to succeed, because nothing in this life is cheap, especially the right to be free. On my walk outside today, I saw a tree and a pile of green leaves that sat beneath it. On the brown branch hung a rope and a rubber swing, and I wonder how tired one must be of fearing being the next lynching. A source of entertainment, a sight for the town to see. It's time for me to start seeing things clearly, keep my feet on the ground and my head in the clouds simultaneously, because this black and white world around me is no longer reality, actually. Photos depicting history and misleading textbooks that are simply supposed to teach about color folks in the streets marching for their rights. The pictures were taken in color but were printed out in black and white. I wonder why. Was it just because, or was it to make it seem like the civil rights era was much longer ago than it actually was? See, this is why we need to help one another, come together more than ever, because all we have is each other. Monochrome just can't capture the beauty of my black sisters and brothers. And maybe that's why black history is much clearer when we see it in color. Thank you.
Home is not just where you go to sleep. It's not the biggest house on the neighborhood. It's the people you surround yourself with, the community that helps build you up. It's where you should feel safe and heard. When you're home, you should feel comfortable enough to grow. I was 14 years old when I left my first home. I remember flashbacks of my childhood running through my mind as I stood on the corner of the house that was filled with endless memories. A house that was no longer mine. I was heartbroken. I went from small country girl to lost city girl with only my mama by my side. Fear was my first friend, trailing behind me because I never thought to look past the surface, to see what has been done and to understand what I'm capable of. This goes back in history, back when opportunities were a mystery and black people didn't get gain. Struck down by hatred, not even allowed to have a home, facing the world alone, yet together. Even when it all looked hopeless, chances were taken, the fight still lived on for a place to call their own. Every story has to start somewhere, and most of the time, the chapters in your story change when you least expect it. There's this one family. They had to go find a place to plant down their roots, and they landed in a town called DeKalb, where work was hard to find, but they stuck it out. I'm sure they were scared, not knowing what would happen, wondering if they made the right decision, but their worries would soon be settled by the result of finding what they were looking for and more. They found a community who gave them a bigger reason to stay. Their lives changed for the better because they took a gamble for their future, and now they welcome each generation in with a place that they can call home. I always thought home was where you grew up, or even where you were born. I admit I was a little bit clueless, unwilling to explore the unknown. It took me a long time to understand that chapter of my story had already ended. And I needed to start anew because that was the right move. like that family, I had to take a chance, and I quickly learned that it was up to me. I had to create my own opportunities because no one could fight for me better than, well, me. I let myself open up to a whole new world, one filled with a better sense of community and independence, in a place where I could see people who looked and felt kind of like me. I realized how much I'd been missing, how much I didn't even know. Now I can see how much I've grown. I got to figure out who I was without the safety net of what was comfortable behind me. I made myself a new home, but I still have one there, and well, a little bit of everywhere. I guess home really is just what you make it. Thank you.
I want to open up a discussion about this ideology that this lady lunatic brought to me. And as I examine this examination of this equation of the frustration divided by a nation, it has come to my attention that I have failed to mention that we not equal for real. Still, I could go on a tangent for days about my ancestors who were slaves and how we built this country off our backs. And while we continue to spit those facts about how we as black, somehow we still don't have a place in this space called the land of the free and the home of the brave. Let me say that again. The land of the free and the home of the brave. I could say I still can't breathe as I'm still fighting for equality. Them white girls still thinking about their next Starbucks drink. You know, every day I think about my nieces and nephews and how Lori Lightfoot put me on that curfew when I was in the city protesting for my people's rights. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna still fight every single day until I see a change. I want a day where race isn't nothing but what we play when we run in that track. I'm going to tell you that this is a fact that we got to make a difference in this country. We got to make a difference in this world. But I'm going to let you know that I am one girl and I still need a 1,000,000-man army behind me. We will fight every day for our rights in this country. Thank you.